everybody, I'm Alana with Treehouse Humane Society, and we are doing a live chat today with Daniel DQ Quagliozzi. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Let me bring him in, and ta-da!
Hey!
Welcome, Daniel.
Greetings from San Francisco.
Thank you so much for doing this for Treehouse. How is it out there in San Francisco?
I imagine it's probably the same as it is everywhere else. It's really quiet. I don't know. I will say one thing: our city's doing all the right things. Our people are really pitching in on this staying home thing. So, but I don't know. I've seen a lot of my house for about 20 days. So, and so have our cats, right? So.
Yeah, our cats are pretty used to this, I think.
They're on lockdown all the time.
So we were going to talk a little bit about kind of living with your cat during COVID-19 and kind of understanding maybe now a little bit more what it's like for them to always be living in a house now that we're all doing it. Do you want to start from there and tell us kind of, I don't know, what do you have to say about living with your cat in COVID-19?
Well, I mean, I'll just say it this way. I don't know if anyone is familiar, but I run a business here in San Francisco called Go Cat Go. And throughout the year when things are not on lockdown, I'm doing home visits. I do my consultations for people intimately in their home one-on-one, where I immerse myself in their environment. And that actually helps a lot because you can kind of see how things play out. You can see energetically how people are living with their cats. And with restrictions now, I'm doing all my consultations this way. And I'm sitting here doing video chats with people. So what's always fascinated me about doing home consultations is that people, the problems that they have with their cats, a lot of times they manifest because they're not home and because they're not able to give the cats the enrichment or time or resources that they need because they're working 8 to 10 hours a day. And then when they do get home in the evening, their cats have really high demands and they're looking for everything from meals to attention to social time with their people. And we're often too busy to compensate for what they need. So those things backfire on us. And where cats are either attention seeking or they're meowing a lot. There's a lot of cats that are very vocal because their people aren't home. And when they do come home, they're either attention starved or disoriented by them being gone. And now, here we are stuck in our houses with our cats 24/7. And for me, what's interesting is that we're kind of getting a taste of what a house cat goes through. And it's not that I don't advocate for cats being inside. Of course I do. But when they're inside and we as cat guardians fail to enrich their lives while living in these boxes with us, their behaviors backfire on us. And that's when we complain and we hire a cat consultant. So for me, this is really, really interesting because now that I'm talking with people, I'm seeing that maybe them being home has fixed some of their problems because they're able to actually, because they're so darn bored, they're able to play more than 10 minutes a day with their cat, or they're able to give their cat more attention than they were before, or pay attention to how they enrich their lives. So it's been really fascinating for me.
And I'm so sorry, I know you, so I didn't even think to say, hey, let's introduce you and what you do. And how do you describe your full-time work with cats?
How do I describe it? Best summed up as I talk people off the ledge and I walk them out of their control issues. Being a cat consultant is a lot like being a person's therapist because cat problems are people problems. And like I was just saying, like we live with these animals and they react to what we provide. And because we're human beings, we want things to fit in a certain way, in a certain box. We want control over cats, maybe the way we have control over dogs. Dogs have a different sense of obedience than cats do. So what I do is essentially try to engage my clients in a way where it's not judgmental. I'm not going to walk into somebody's house and say, you totally suck at playing with your cat. I'm going to give them some kind of guidance listen to how they do play, but then try to frame the advice in a way that I know that they'll understand it. So being a cat consultant means you have to understand how a person thinks and how they perceive their cat's actions. And more than half of my clients are taking cat behavior personally, thinking that it reflects on them personally, and it does. But
So they're right.
it sure does. But I think it's the anthropomorphizing of emotion and things that complicate how we solve the issues. And some folks are just a little too hands-on with their cats, and their cats are looking for space. Um, in these times, especially, we're very anxious right now, and we're seeking comfort, and we're seeking, uh, the unconditional, well, and mostly unconditional, but also conditional love that we get from cats. And we may be pushing too hard for that when they actually are looking for more of a consensual interface with us. So, as a cat consultant, I'm everything from a person's uh, interpreter for their cat, but also I'm doing like couples therapy and working through fights where people are not able to agree on how they can solve their cat's problem. So I'm sitting listening to both sides of the story. I love it. That's great work. And I didn't just wake up and become a cat consultant. I put close to 13 years into shelter work, working for the San Francisco SPCA. And I continue to work in shelters here at San Francisco Animal Care and Control. So I've seen cats at their worst. I've seen the end result of people's failures and their surrender of their cats. And now I'm asking them to surrender themselves.
Easy, right? Just
Easy peasy.
so totally simple. Um, so let's open it up to questions in case people have questions that they want to ask Daniel. Do you prefer going by Daniel or DQ in general?
I use DQ only because when you take a look at my last name, most people are going to butcher that, So DQ became an easier way for people to address me. Daniel is fine. That's my name. That's what I was born with.
All
But
right.
I don't expect people to say Quagliozzi. That doesn't exactly. It's not instinctual. So
I said it.
either is fine.
It's doable. It came out of my mouth. I believe in other people too.
You can call me the cat's meow if you want. If that's
Oh, really? Just anything, but not Dan.
no, not Dan, Danny, none of that.
None of that. Great. So we have a first question here from Susan. Hi, Daniel. Thanks for being here. See if we can get this up on the screen. It is a long one. Sometimes I like to take a quick break from work and go spend 5 minutes or so with my cat, but when I approach her to try to give her pets, she gets up looking annoyed and walks away. What is up with this, and why are pets always on her terms? So this is kind of what we've been talking about, right? People are working from home now. They want to be taking numerous breaks now that they didn't normally spend with their cats. And I guess as we answer this, I also have a question, which is, do you feel like cats are happy to have people home more often right now? Or is it too much for them? Because I'm seeing all these little memes everywhere where like the dogs are so excited and the cats are like, get the hell out of my house. So like which one's closer when you address this?
Okay. All right. So I'll answer your question and I'll bounce it to Susan's question. Are they happier? Yes and no. I mean, is that the easiest way to answer the question? They're happiest when they can call the shots. They're happiest when the cat feels that they have the free will to make a decision. And if we look at the circadian rhythm of a cat is asleep right now. They should be anyway, from the, let's say, late morning to the early evening. Most of them are in airplane mode, just switching off and chilling out, right? It's a low motivation time. So if we are more present than we used to be, and we are interfering with that sleep cycle or their rest time or the time that they're actually electing to create space from you, then yeah, they're going to resist that. So the word that I use a lot, because it's a very powerful word, is consent. And I think we don't often see what we're doing, where our intentions go, and how that conflicts with what a cat truly wants. So please take breaks. You need your breaks. But if the break means I'm going to go and ambush my cat while he sleeps with petting, you're probably not going to want to receive that. But that doesn't mean you can't be present with your cat. Sit down next to your cat, lower your intentions, just be present, and see if your cat peeks up from that nap and then obligates to socializing with you. It's not about us socializing with them, it's about what they want out of that negotiation. So, cats and people, they only work when there are respect and trust. And that's, what I think baffled me and both intrigued me about cats was that love is the puzzle you're solving. How do I get love back from this creature? And the way you solve the puzzle is through trust and through consent.
So I mean, it's really true about cats is that like, in order for to get their love and respect, you really have to give that to them as well. That's not just some random stereotype that came out of nowhere. Like it's really a two-way street with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, think of every cat you ever had and how long it took to piece out what you're allowed to do, right? Am I allowed to pet you on your tail? Am I allowed to pet you on your feet? The relationship we have with our cats is this slow burning negotiation of, you know, what will you allow me to do? And so we take a lot of liberties with cats where we do things that they don't want to do at all. Everything from picking them up off the floor and carrying them to putting them in clothing. These are things your cat didn't say, "Hey, take me to the cat convention and walk me around today." That's not what they're thinking of. We do things, we take liberties, we make decisions for them that they don't always want. So if you're walking up to your cat and your cat goes, "Peace out, I'm leaving the room," don't follow your cat to the other room. And if we're talking about shelters and shelter volunteers, a classic mistake a shelter volunteer makes is sitting on the floor with a cat, spending some time petting them. The cat walks away, goes up to the top of the cat tree, and then you come up to the cat tree and and then you're invading that space too. So, um, the baseline rules of the respecting and trust with a cat I learned through shelter work, because you have to sit and record everything when you're working in cat behavior and how this cat, what it was it take to get this cat to present well and to uh, be social enough and adaptable enough to leave this shelter.
Yeah, good points. Okay, Susan, hopefully that answers your question. We have another question here from Diana. Hi, Diana. I adopted Brox from Treehouse just over 3 weeks ago. I remember Brox. I have to take his picture. He's 5, was a stray, and separated from his 2 siblings that were adopted before him. He spends time hiding under the bed or now sometimes under the table. We've never picked him up, and he allows pretty minimal pets. What do you recommend to get a shy, new-to-us cat more comfortable with us?
That's a good question. I think we can think about it also in shelter terms and home terms here. Like, if you were in a cage at the shelter or in a run or whatever, a condo, and there was a cat hiding who maybe just peeks its head out from the cozy a little bit and maybe gives you a blink, but that's about it. You know that the closer you get to this cat, the more they're going to withdraw and pull back and tighten up, and all that body language is going to show. So you're working with benefit and intention. A cat is not going to make a decision unless somewhere down that line of decision making there's going to be a benefit there. So positive reinforcement is where I would go with this. A food motivated cat, and hopefully this cat enjoys a treat or two, is basically your way of providing some kind of benefit that doesn't have a consequence attached to it. So, if I were to go into a house with a new client with a cat that was either aggressive or fearful of strangers or hid, I'm not going to make a beeline from that cat. I'm going to be present in the room and uh, maybe from a distance, but I'm going to offer treats or even a toy or something that doesn't have um, direct, I don't know, association with me, right? So we want the cat to see that good stuff comes from you. but the consequence of your physical attention isn't there, if that is indeed what makes this cat fearful. So it's about baby stepping your way to trust. And with a shy, fearful cat, um, he's a 5-year-old cat, right? And a stray, you've got 5 years of hardwired experiences to roll back in a home environment, and that's going to take a lot of time. That could take a lifetime, to be honest. Or, to be doubly honest, he may never change. He may always be shy, and that just may be his way of protecting himself from things he can't control. The dog barking in the background, I don't know if you can hear that.
That's in your house?
That's my housemate's dog. Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, your housemate's dog. Okay, sorry, you cut out there for a second. That might have been on my end, though. I'm not sure. Okay, so she really needs to just kind of have some patience, offer treats, offer good feelings to him, and take her time, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it's patience is our hardest hurdle, I think, with cats. We want things to roll out fast. We want them to come from adoption to our homes and acclimate quickly. Um, Diana sounds like the right adopter for this cat. She sounds like she's ready to do the work without pushing. Um, she says she never picked the cat up. She's allowing really minimal pets. Like, that's truly the way to do it. It's just about spending the time to read and to see, even if this cat never offers anything to you, somewhere down the line they will. And it can be a simple body language change. It could be this cat is not hiding so much, but actually spending, time within feet of you, or at the edge of the bed, um, or playing finally. And I also have to say that the toys that you select to work with a shy cat are very important. You don't want the bird flying around the room, or some big clanky toy that's scary. You also don't want a toy that's close to your body, because if you're using a wand toy that has a stick that's this long, that's an extension of you and the area around you, right? So you want to have a good 6 to 8 foot lead on a toy, so the cat can see that target, but not directly associate with you, and they can put their attention somewhere else. Um, Redirecting focus is very important.
Okay. Well, hopefully that helps, Diana. If you have other questions beyond this, please do contact us at Treehouse. You can always email us at info@treehouseanimals.org, especially because he's a treehouse cat. So once a treehouse cat, always a treehouse cat. We're happy to give you any further assistance if you need it. And you can, of course, always contact Daniel, whose services are available as well, and we'll let you know where to find him at the end of this. But your website is gocatgosf.com. Is that right?
Yeah. gocatgosf.com, and check out my blog. I got a lot of good videos up on there, articles. There's a lot of good info.
Very good.
And if you like what you're hearing and you want a private consultation, you can do that as well.
He is available. All right, thanks, Diana. Moving on, we have Les. In October, I brought my alley cat inside to make her a house cat. I also have 2 bonded male cats. All 3 are spayed and neutered, but should I worry about the males getting spring fever, even though they're fixed? I think that's male cats, still get that urge even though they're fixed?
Yeah. I mean, it's not every male cat, but I've certainly had a fair share of clients who have humpy male cats, that get a wild look in their eye, and then they seek out any cat in the house. It's not always a female. They actually will mount and go through the motions with other males too. Um, it's less likely to happen if they've been altered, but I think there's always a chance. In a multi-cat household, you should expect there to be competition, and you should expect them to vie for the same things that make them all happy. And in that hierarchy of cats, cats will establish different statuses within their small colony that you're growing in your house here. So if one of those male cats, or even the female cats, is high in status, they may use that tactic of pinning, biting the neck, kind of holding another cat down to assert their status, not to harm them, although some cats will protest quite dramatically. it can still happen. I guess that's the end of the the end of the question. Yeah.
So if they are doing something like that, what would you recommend that the person do? I mean, you don't want to encourage this behavior, right? So how does the person handle it if they're seeing this occurring?
Well, I don't know. It's. I mean, I do know, but it's just it's complicated in that number one, I would say, don't get physically involved in this. Don't separate them or grab one cat or punish one cat for hurting the other cat. Um, you have to do your best to redirect attention without getting too involved. So, um, I don't like to do things like clapping hands and creating frenetic noise and energy in a room when something like that's going on, because there's actually a degree of self-soothing going on as well. This happens as a cathartic thing going on right there. So creating some kind of aversion while it's happening could have other effects. It could make a cat fearful of the other cat who pinned them down. They might associate that noise with the other cat, or the other cat who's pinning the other cat may suddenly increase their restraint and bite harder. So um, you just have to do your best you can to get their attention in a non lethal way. I don't know how to explain it. I
You
mean,
would
I
hope
think
so.
I don't I'm very hands off with cats. I don't really. I mean, when it's appropriate, yes, but when there's something going on that's could be considered on the borderline of aggression, um, you're best to try to redirect the attention of the other cat. Maybe you can stick a pillow between them, and that sort of like physically buffers the space. Also gives the cat something still to pin. But when the smoke clears and they do, sort of settle, and one cat walks away, that's when you step in to redirect them, and you're there to help with the reset, not quite with the moment that's going on.
So I think one of the things that I heard was somebody told me be like the wind. Like if this is happening, like just kind of put yourself, or not necessarily yourself, but like, I mean, if you have nothing else, like you step in between, or if you have a blanket or a pillow, just to cut their eyesight from each other, and that's just kind of
Yeah,
the easiest way. Would you say that's okay?
I mean, that's going to be useful in a moment that you can predict, right? So like you're sitting there and you're like, oh shoot, there's Fluffy's got that dilated look, and he's making the slow crawl over there. That is when you can abruptly put something between the sight line, and usually that will kind of break the trance in some ways. But just because you've broken the sight line doesn't mean that Fluffy's mood changed. Fluffy's still got a wild, spark going on that he or she may need to release. So that's what I mean. Like, you can break it up, but does it truly end the feeling? And that's what you have to be there to redirect. So maybe it's a toy or play or food, or you lead one cat out of the room and manage it that way. And those
Hmm.
of us who have multiple cats and multiple doors can manage cats.
Okay, so I guess less it can happen. Keep an eye out on it, and intervene stealthily if it starts occurring. So, thanks for your question. All right, we got some more questions here. Ellen, hello. My treehouse adopted Maisie does not like her brother. I've had him for over a year, and she still gets angry if he gets within a few feet of her. I've used pheromone collars, the room diffuser. I did a slow introduction when I brought him home, keeping them separated for about a week. Any tips to make her less irritated by him?
Mm. Um, these are what's hard for me with a question like this is that I can't see your layout, because a lot of the solutions I would give you might be in redesigning where your cats go, where they're competing, and like we're just talking about managing cats. Sometimes we have to allow them to manage themselves within spaces, and we do that by offering them multiples of things. So um, a cat that gets angry every single time another cat comes within feet of them is a really hard corner to turn if you don't have the space to buffer them from each other. Um, the fact that they're sibling cats, and they've been going through all these changes together, um, it can be hard. What I do with some people in their homes is I will create a soft barrier between cats. A soft barrier would be a baby gate. where you allow cats to have visual and scent access to each other and a buffered space that manages them, but also allows you the distance to positively reinforce through food or feedings or daily routines where they do come together. They don't come together so, unmanaged in a way where the one cat who gets within feet knows this is guaranteed. Every time I come up to this cat, there's going to be some fireworks. And even though it's negative, I'm still getting some kind of reward in my status here, my control, right? So if you can, the baby gate is a nice way, and most people are going to say, my cat will jump the baby gate. Well, then you got to get two, I have to say. Or you install a screen door.
Like one on top of the other? Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
Ellen is
You're stuck in a
adding here.
box for a while.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Ellen is adding here. She does have 2 litter boxes and 2 separate food and water bowls, she said.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got 2 cats, you should have 3 of things. Like just having one of each is fine. But if you've got the cat who eats from that bowl and then goes over to that bowl, that's counterintuitive. So having your resources multiple, but also spread out from room to room. Every time a cat enters a room, there's multiple, maybe there's 2 cat trees, 3 scratching pads, 1 scratching pad, 2 scratching posts, different things. And you have to align that with the preferences of your cat, right? Because one cat may not prefer to scratch on this or that. So you have to give each of them what they want, tribute to each of their unique characteristics, and manage them in ways where they do see each other. Because the thing that a lot of folks do with their cats once they start having problems on the daily is keep them separated all the time. And that is really only going to hardwire their impression of each other. And it's going to make the time when they do see each other like a heat-seeking missile got fired off in your house, right? It's going to be quick and fast. Cat's making up for lost time. And if you have a door closed, one of those cats is going to have FOMO. They're going to be like, what, and why can't I go in that room? And when I do, I'm going to eat that food and pee in the box and have a fight, right? So I find that the baby gates, although hard to live with as human beings, do offer cats like this time together. There's quotes, but not truly together. And you can manage the aggression a little bit better.
Okay, that makes sense. Very good. Anything else to add on that one, or shall we go on to the next question?
You could pop in a fellow-way diffuser. Like she said, she's got the pheromone collars and the room diffusers. They're not bad to continue with, but sometimes you do hit your plateau with those.
I think the resources too, that's something that we do at Treehouse too, now that you're saying it. Like when we do our rounds at the shelter and kind of want to make sure that the cats all have what they need, we sort of count which cats are in each colony, and then we want to have at least one more box and covered box, uncovered box. We want to make sure that we have enough water, enough food resources, so that and then hiding places, high, low, depending on what they like, high scratch, low scratch. And so all of our colonies have that to accommodate all of the different personalities and things. So it's probably a little easier to accomplish in a house when you know the personalities of the cats a little bit better.
Yeah, I remember working, at SPCA, and I called it Tetris, cat Tetris. You've got only so many different types of rooms and different types of housing, and through trial and error, have to figure out what cats can be co-housed, and can they live in the same room. And I have to say, here in San Francisco, like a testament to the SPCA, they really designed some creative spaces that are conducive not to both the cats, but to like the appeal of the human being who is trying to adopt to it. Really livened up the adoption experience. We don't have that at Animal Control so much. It's a city-funded shelter, so it's 3x3 cages. It's very old school.
That's where you're at now, right?
That's where I'm at now, because that's who needs help.
You're like the cat Superman. You go where the help is needed.
Yeah, I need one of those little cat symbol things or something,
to shine up in the sky.
A siren.
DQ.
A pole to slide down.
That'd be cool. All right, we've got another question from, please excuse me if I mispronounce this, Agela. I lost both of my senior kitties in February and adopted a 1-year-old demon kitty about a month ago. Ooh. She's clearly not over her kitten stage and needs to play. She'll play so hard she'll start panting. If I stop playtime, she'll get angry and yell, and on rare occasions, she'll get my attention with her claws. She's a great kitty, but I don't know if she needs a friend or if there's some toy I can get to wear her down. After having senior kitties of 19 and 13, this little sprite is duh. I can't see the rest of it. I don't know where the rest of the question went. Delicious. Yes, maybe. Lemony, limey, a little Sprite. Tasty and bubbly. I don't know where it went, but I think you can probably answer it on that amount of info.
Yeah. All right. So newly adopted, 1-year-old. I won't say a demon cat. I mean, well, the whole my cat makes me angry because I don't feel like cats come from hell. I feel like cats they live in the hell we create for them. But I think if the question is, should I pair this cat off with another cat? It could help. You're within the window. Certainly, shelters would thank you for taking another cat that needs a home. The biggest hurdle here is that you have a cat who sets a very high bar and whose glass of need is never full enough, right? It's like whatever you do, you just can't, it's just not enough. And that there is no way of backing out of that. There's no way to do less. You literally have to keep doing what you're doing to sustain this cat. So would adding another cat take some of the heat off of you? Perhaps. But then you have that 50-50 gamble of, will it work out? Will this new cat be the right cat? Will this new cat like my cat? And vice versa. So I'm one of the few consultants who's like, adopt more cats, get more cats. Like, that doesn't always solve the issue. But if I think, I meet a cat who's young enough and demands are high enough, then for sure, finding a friend who meets those physical needs is going to take some of the pressure off of you. But your job as a cat guardian is to provide interactive play that looks realistic, that keeps your cat's need for stalking and hunting always fulfilled. So you can't back out of that part. And another cat can't do that for your cat. They can't mimic prey. They can't fill a food toy with kibble. They can only really wrestle. And when the wrestling's over, then you just got two cats that are just sitting together, hopefully in tolerance. So if she's getting angry and yelling at you, this is the dilemma, right? We are their servants. We provide, and some cats want more, and there's no way to really relieve yourself of that duty. Another cat might help, but I can't guarantee it.
And when you say that she's still within the window, you mean like the age window in order to be able to accept another cat into her life?
Yeah. This is what's the word I'm looking for? Anecdotal, right? I don't think anyone's really determined what age is best to stop adopting another cat, right? For your cat, or when it's not appropriate for a cat to live with another one. But in my experience, I find it harder for cats, let's say over the age of, the number for me comes up like 8, 6 to 8 is when cats are pretty set in their ways. Maybe they've established a pretty hardwired routine with their guardian in their home. And a newcomer who's young will upset that older cat in ways that our human brains don't always anticipate. We always think they're going to be mothered or fathered by the older cat, and it's not typically what happens. But the window that I speak of is that adaptability window, where a cat is young enough that they're a little bit bomb-proof, where you can bring them to any place, and they will just be like, where are we? Let's play. Oh, there's another cat. Hey, and they go and introduce themselves. But it's the cat who has been the resident before that one arrived there where we have to devote our sensitivities to.
And she, Agella added, I'm not looking to back out of anything. I'm just not sure how to satisfy all her needs. So what kinds of things could she do then? Let's say, so it sounds like, I guess, if she wanted to get another cat, now would be the time to do it because her cat's young enough to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But if she
Yeah.
doesn't specifically want another cat, what are some things that she can do to make her kitten a little bit happier here?
Um, I mentioned food puzzles a little bit earlier. Um, and I'm going to show you, if I can flip my thing around here. Do this without.
I think I have a couple food puzzles here too, if you want me to grab some examples. Oh, you got those cool ones. I
See
couldn't
those?
get that one. I wanted to get that one and
So
they were
these,
available.
yeah, this one has sold out, I believe. That's made by Catite, and this one is made by Trixie Pet. There are 4 globes missing from this one because my cat pulls on them, and it makes a lot of noise. So, but if you've got a kitten, and they want to play, you can have several of these. And I'm not talking about making your cat fat or putting, you know, food in place of play, but for meal times where, let's say you've done your play session for 10-15 minutes and you've got the cat to the point of panting and exhaustion, they'll be pretty hungry. So move them on over to some food puzzles. You can use treats first because treats are typically higher in value than food is, and they'll be more willing to work for it. It's not instinctual for most cats to just start working with a food toy, but what I like to do is maybe put the food around the outer edges, right, where it's easy to get, and then work it into some of these puzzles. And you can get to the point where you're feeding whole meals. So it's just a creative way to redirect energy and focus and boredom and take you off target a little bit.
Okay, so food puzzles are a good one. I've done that too, where I didn't have a puzzle because I wanted to get one and I couldn't get one. So I started hiding food in different places around his room. What do you think about that?
Yeah,
Like kind of hunting and for it?
that's fine. Yeah, I mean, one time a friend of mine brought me to a wildlife reserve where they had bobcats, and this is going to be a little disgusting, but this is what we did. We took dead, I think they were rats or something, and they literally cut them in pieces with a scissor. It was pretty gross. But they took those guts and stuff, they wrapped it in newspaper. And then they wrapped that newspaper in wax paper. And then they put that inside of a box, inside of a box, inside of a box. There's layers and layers for this cat to rip through and get to that final reward inside, right? So in your house, you could essentially do the same thing. I mean, we have to be careful. Cats will ingest non-food items. So you don't want something that falls apart, breaks up, and is ingestible. But your toilet paper rolls that you hopefully have right now, if you're lucky enough to have toilet paper, are great for food toys because they can be folded in and you can put a little hole in them, and you just want it to be enough where the cat can smell food, see food, and figure how the heck do I get food out of this thing. I mean, you could put one piece of kibble under a bottle cap and hide that somewhere. I mean, there could be all over the place, and this works well for cats who are either attention seeking, who are chewing your cords, who are meowing, who are pulling on your drapes. They're basically trying to create their own enrichment from what you've provided. So food, it doesn't have to be a giant bowl of food. It can be one kibble. That's how we train dogs. It's how we train cats. Minimal food, it's still a reward if it's done one at a time. But it's up to you to be creative and to use your landscape. Every nook and cranny in your house is a place to be explored.
Cool. Well, Agela, I hope that helps. It sounds like, having another cat is up to you if that's the way you want to go. But otherwise, I think the food puzzles are a great idea, and the hiding of food and some things like that should be helpful. And again, if you have other questions, Treehouse is always available to you, or Daniel also has a website that will be helpful, which was gocatgosf.com, or you can reach us at treehouseanimals.org. You are very welcome. She said, these are some awesome ideas. She's a very smart kitty, and these are great ideas. Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you so much for your question.
I have this bag right here. This is chicken. It's actual chicken. I don't eat chicken, so I hate touching it, but I'll do anything for my cat. So here it is, and it's ready to go into that food puzzle in just a little bit, because I know it's going to be peak time pretty soon, where my cat's going to be walking in here within about 30 minutes seeking something, and maybe 2 or 3 of those in that food toy. That's a good 15 minutes of keeping him out of my hair.
So you're going to hear a slam. You're going to turn around. Cubby's kick the door in. If you're looking for something to do and you got a bag of chicken, perfect.
Yeah,
Prepared.
keep it handy.
Prepared. Cool. So we have a couple other questions here. We answered one for Susan earlier, so let me come back to that one in just a second. We have Ann Miller. I have a 17-year-old cat who started biting me in the last few months. He's a sweet cat and has never been a biter. He only seems to do it when we are sitting on the couch. He moves himself next to me and then nips me. If he's looking for attention, why would he suddenly go from gentle head nudges for attention to biting? Is there another possible reason he might be doing this? Let me put that on the screen.
Let me read that back to myself a little bit.
Yeah, I realized I didn't put it on the screen, and
okay, so 17-year-old cat. So the age is our first factor, right? It's an older cat. Started biting, hasn't been biting before. Usually sweet. Seems to do it when they're sitting. Moves next to you and nips you, looking for attention. So okay, so I will say my cat is now is almost 12. And I suffer from the very same experience. There'll be a time in the evening when I'm sitting at the edge of my bed, and I'm usually, getting my phone ready and setting up my Netflix or whatever. And Cubby's gonna cruise up next to me, and he's just gonna sit there politely for a moment or two. If I do not drop my arm for him to walk into my lap, he will bite my arm. And I don't interpret it as malicious. I interpret it as maybe even a little involuntary, like it's something that he's doing just to get the moment going. Your cat's 17 and older. Things change in cats' personalities. I can't say that it's, it's hard for me to directly say that, yes, it's due to your cat's age and changing, but my guess is it's probably for attention or for just could even be social. Cats do nip and clean and sort of like they give you those little pincer teeth. They kind of in your skin sometime. So it could be a mix of attention seeking and social bonding, and maybe just a little bit of poor form. I don't know.
Do you feel like with that age there could be anything going on, like overstimulation or potential like arthritis or anything? If she's petting, like if she's noticing it where she's petting in a certain place that's bothering them physically?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like what we can't see is how your cat feels physically. And if we're going from gentle head nudges to biting, like it sounds like she's not petting this cat. He's just sort of like marking and then biting. But if it's happening as a result of your petting, then we have to consider that older cats feel sometimes a little stiff. I mean, it could be a toothache, could be anything we can't see. That is just creating a lower threshold for the physical part. So they're setting a line really early in the experience so that they don't have to feel uncomfortable later, or they already feel uncomfortable.
Is it something that you think should get checked out by a veterinarian if Anne finds that it is becoming increasingly a problem?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you got a 17-year-old cat, you should likely be going to the vet at least once or twice a year just for blood tests and stuff. But if you have a pretty good rapport with your vet, a phone call and just a description of what's going on, just let them troubleshoot it there and see if they want you to bring the cat in. But I'm never going to tell you not to bring your cat to the vet. Go.
Let's go all the time. Anne said she followed up here. She said she did think of arthritis, but he bites me before I even touch him.
So. Yeah. Maybe he's just cranky. I don't know. I mean, I've seen cats change and be a little bit more forceful about things. I mean, I'm talking to like 150 clients a year, and I'm listening to a lot of them talk about how their cats never did something before but are doing it now. So I think it's just part of the evolution, physical and emotional and mental evolution of a cat. And as they get older, cognitive changes sometimes kick in.
Yeah, I saw that very heavily in my cat who was 20 when he passed away recently in February. And he, for the last year or two of his life, started doing some very strange things. Like he used to sleep with me, and then I couldn't sleep with him anymore because he would wake me up every hour by screaming in my face as though he like wanted to make sure that I was awake. And then I'd look at him and be like, "What?" And he'd be like, "Oh, okay." And then he'd go back to sleep. But I couldn't continue this, And he started having a lot of cognitive changes. And so I think that happens in cats just as much as it happens in people who are aging. And I don't think people realize
Yeah.
that's a possibility many times.
Yeah. Also, cats are metering your response. So if you've been bitten and you had a reaction, they might be trying to solicit some more of those reactions from you.
So maybe they liked it. Maybe you like did a really cool dance or something and they were entertained.
Well, usually there's like a ow or withdraw. I sometimes with Cubby, when he does that little bite, I will look at him sternly and I will say no, and you can see him kind of recoil. But what I have learned to do is to reset myself, to move from that position, even if it's for a minute or two. Just get up and sit back down again in a minute or two, because he if there's resistance from me, he sees it as, oh, all right, game on, and then he will actually try to bite me harder. So and his bites are not fast bites, they're the clamp bite where he just holds onto it with a little bit of tinge of what seems like he's disappointed in me, but
You didn't have the chicken out fast enough for him.
maybe, yeah, maybe. I mean, he's a short cat, so he's got Napoleon complex.
He's got the little legs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cubby's a munchkin. He's a munchkin Siamese. He's not here at the moment. He's off
He'll be kicking your door in soon. Don't you
doing
worry.
his thing. Yeah, but I basically adopted him in 2010. My old cat Matilda, who was 18, had passed away, and I was at the time working for SPCA, and I was going to animal care and control every day and doing my intake. And there he was on my intake list. Somebody had just surrendered a 3-year-old Munchkin Siamese cat. And I thought, how could I pass up this opportunity? So I nabbed him.
There he is. Well, not right there, but somewhere in the general area. So hopefully that helps out, Anne. Thank you for your question. So going back a little bit to this COVID-19 thing and kind of boredom, sort of a lot of people I'm hearing are bored and kind of, changing their daily habits and patterns. Susan was asking, her other question was about breakfast. During this quarantine, my cat has become increasingly demanding. Excuse me, let me put this up here for you. Increasingly demanding for her breakfast, and it's been happening at an earlier and earlier hour. It is quite annoying, to be honest. Any thoughts on why this is happening?
Well, I touched on circadian rhythm a little bit earlier, right? We have one that is very predictable. And it means that we're awake all day long and we sleep in the evening time, where our cats have a circadian rhythm that kind of bounces. The older they get, they tend to sleep more. Sometimes they'll put in a solid 17 hours of sleep in one day. But the waking hours are not really the time that your cat starts the day. That's when we start the day. Your cat starts the day at like 8 p.m. because they've been sleeping that whole day. So when the lights start getting low outside, they're usually, all right, well, let's get this day going. And that's why a lot of folks who work come home to a cat who's like, where have you been all day? Where's my food? Where's my attention? And so my advice in these times is to, if you can, because now you have the time to feed your cat correctly, feeding cats in the morning and then again in the evening. Usually people do like a 2-time-a-day meal. That's what I'm used to hearing, in a bowl or whatever. That morning feeding, in some cases, if you're doing like let's say a whole portion of food, it can be kind of wasted because your cat's going to sleep that off anyway. So what I do, I'll just give you so I have that cat who's going to wake me up early for food. What I've learned to do is, even though I wake up at 7 or 8 a.m., I don't feed him until 10 a.m. And I give him a very small feeding. Now,
He disappeared. Daniel's gone. It's just me now. Here I was sitting here listening, and then I'm alone. I think he should, let's see. Oh, here he is. He's back. He's back. Oh, I was worried
Oh
about you.
my!
There you are. I thought you got
We're just
abducted by
Cubby cut
aliens
the
just
cord to
right out
my
of the top of the
computer.
screen. Cubby did?
Cubby cut. He was like, Shh, "Stop talking about me." No. Where did you lose me? Because I was going on and on and on for a long
No,
time.
you were talking about Cubby is the person feeding them. You give him a small meal. So 10 o'clock, you feed him. You might wake up at 7 or 8. You feed him at 10, and you give him a small meal.
Okay, yeah. So he gets a small meal, but now that I'm home all day, he's going to get another small meal at 2:30, another small meal at 4:30, and then the biggest meal is at roughly 10:30 p.m. So he gets little things to carry him through the day, but then the biggest portion is going to come late in the evening, and it's going to be accompanied by treats in that food puzzle. So I'm here in a house with 5 other people, 4 other people. I don't know if I forget. There's a lot of us in here, and every one of us has a room. And so when I retire for the evening, Cubby is not allowed. He has a curfew, and he's not allowed to be out wandering around the house bothering people because he'll hide in your room, and then at 3 a.m. you're going to have a Siamese alarm clock in your room. So I close him up, and he protests for a little bit. There's a little bit of paddling on the door that happens. But then he realizes, oh, holy smokes, there's like food puzzles and stuff. So I employ my cat in the evening time. He has a job. His job is to eat and to hang out in this room until I wake up. So for you, with your cat and this whole the breakfast hour thing, your cats are going to be happier eating in the evening, and you're going to be happier if you can reduce the amount. Don't just abruptly change. Don't just be like, tomorrow, hardly any food in the morning. You have to baby step your way, gradually get there. But you're going to have an easier time if your meals uh, gradually get bigger as late as you can go.
All right. So
Makes
Susan,
sense.
there you go. I do that too. Like I noticed that when I first got cats, if I fed them right away when I woke up, they were like, "Oh, well, we'll wake you up and we'll get fed." And so now
Yeah,
when I get up, I
right.
just go do something else for a little while so that they don't immediately think that they're going to get fed because I don't want them knocking on my door as soon as they're hungry.
Yeah. Well, an important thing too is that your cats will associate the location of where you feed them with your actions, right? So I feed Cubby here in this room, but when I wake up, I leave the room and I go to my kitchen and I have my coffee and my waffle and I sit and I go on my phone and for an hour or two, and he'll wander into the kitchen and be like, "Hey, remember me?" And then I'm like, "All right," So in some ways he does come and remind me, but it's not begging and it's not meowing and it's not incessant. He knows he's going to be fed, but I've taken the pressure off, the necessity of it, and he knows he knows there's a 2 hour window. Sometime I'll be fed, but it's not going to happen as soon as I wake up.
Sometime in there. So you get your quaffle, your coffee waffle, #quaffle, and he has a 2 hour
Yep.
window to wander around and somehow find something. Okay, very good. I think so. We've got a couple of minutes left. So my question to you is, with everybody home now, what happens? What do you expect might happen when everybody starts going back to work? Is there going to be an adjustment period for the cats, and what's that going to be like when people aren't home all the time anymore? Because you're giving your cat, smaller meals. People are giving them more
Yeah.
attention. They're adjusting
Yeah.
their schedules and everything. So what do you think is going to happen?
There'll be a giant hole punched in the space-time continuum, I think.
Right.
I don't know. I want to be hopeful that this is something that isn't going to be our new lifestyle. But let's just be positive. Let's say in September, the doors are open. All your favorite stores are now open again. You can go see Metallica again, and all your favorite bars are now open for happy hour. Your cats are going to notice a giant deficit in attention, in you being home. Of course, so it's gonna put the onus on you that when you are home, you probably have 3 times more work to do. So enjoy this time to reset and to sit in this with your cat, because I've searched high and low for positive affirmations through all this, and what makes me happy is that I do have time with my cat, and that he's not going to live forever. So I'm on vacation in my house with him. I'm already an introvert. This actually has not changed my lifestyle that much, to be honest, but just be thankful. Just be thankful that in the midst of an existential crisis and fear, that you can have time with your cat right now. But yeah, will it backfire later? Likely it will. Call me.
And that's why you're available. Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, my dog is here.
Yeah.
You see her back right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I feel like she's 15 now, and this is giving me an opportunity to kind of see how she's doing and, like, really spend more time with her and kind of understand, like, different things about her that have changed as she's gotten older. And, keeping an eye on the cats, because I have 4 cats running around here too. So it's like, it's an interesting way to, like, watch them interact. Like, I didn't realize that Louis sleeps from breakfast to dinner. He just sleeps the whole day. I don't even know. Like, he finds a place, and then you just don't see him for a long time. And I didn't realize that about him. I thought he was up tooling around when I wasn't here, and he's not. And I bought chair cushions, because I was like, oh, we're probably gonna be spending some time at home, but I think they'll like these. And now the chair cushions have become favorite resting places of the kitties, and there's one right there now. And I noticed that Pinkle really likes to spend time with me, so she tends to adjust her schedule to me, like, depending on what I'm doing. Like, she will sleep during the day, but she also sleeps all night long because she wants to sleep in the bed with me. So, like, it's kind of interesting watching them change their schedules to match whatever they want to do. Now one of them wants to sleep in the bedroom all day, because I don't let them in my bedroom when I'm not home, because I don't want to keep a litter box in there or anything like that. But now that I'm home, they go in there, and then when they want to come out, they knock on the door. So they're all getting a little spoiled right now, and I know that's going to be something that we're going to have to address in the house again.
He's here. Hold on. Oh, yeah, he's around.
Cubby.
Come up here.
We all get to see him.
Hold on a second, guys. Yeah.
Oh.
You got the stuff, Daniel? Oh, there he is.
That's my buddy.
A cubby sighting with his tiny legs.
No,
How old is he?
I picked him up. I broke my own rule, but he's going to stay because
you have treats.
Chicken.
How old is he now?
He's bordering on 12, 13 now.
All right. Is he able to jump fairly high, or does he stay more floor level because of his feet?
I've adjusted his environment to suit his needs, but
so you got the legs off all your tables.
But he will jump up pretty high. It's jumping off of things that I worry about, because his feet. I'll show you. He'll do anything now.
Here, I'll switch the screen so you can see more of it there.
See how short those legs are? They kind of look long, but they're not. They're short. So when he lands, his foot is like right before his face. It's almost like if he misjudged it, he would face plant. So he has a cat tree that I'll show you if you can see behind me. It's shorter steps, right? So that he doesn't have to make big leaps and that kind of thing. You can also see right there, I don't know if you see in the altar there, the centerpiece of that altar is a painting of him.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's Cubby as Ganesha.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's a god, and he knows it. He's helping himself here.
Here he is.
He has an Instagram page, Cubby Saint Cubbins on Instagram, Cubby_Saint_Cubbins.
So if anybody wants to follow Cubby and his little feet, you can find him on Instagram. I see Treehouse Humane Society here with one of our staff members. Danny is our clinic manager and certified veterinary technician who's been listening in here. She loves my cat Louie, so I guess she just sent him some little heart eyes there.
Oh,
He has his own page too. He's Oregano Jones on Facebook, so
oh, I know Oregano
you
Jones.
can check out all his cute little pictures. So I think we are about out of time. Daniel, that was very great. Thank you so much. That was very informative. It was a good conversation. Again, we can find you at gocatgosf.com. It's got all of your information and contact info. Daniel does personal one-on-one consultations for you and your cats. If you guys are having any behavior issues, he can do them via Skype. Has always done them that way, right? And so this is really not too much of a change for him. He's already set up to do that, which is great. And then, of course, you know, if anybody wants help with your other cats here in Chicago or Treehouse Cats, you can contact us, treehouseanimals.org. Kirsten said this was very informative. Thank you so much. You're very welcome, Kirsten. Thank you for stopping by. Let us all know. Daniel, is there anything else you want to leave anybody with?
Just, you know, take this time to live in the meow with your cats. That's
I knew you
very
were going to say
important. You know, cats are, where am I? Cats are meditation. They are not well, they're great Buddhas. So, you know, they live in the meow. Now we are too, and just reset and live in the moment as much as you can, even though the moments suck right now.
They're challenging, but the more we live in the moment, the more at peace our cats are, because they pick up on our emotions, right? So
that's right.
So that's important.
Hey, Cub. There's our buddy.
What's up, Cubby? All right. Thanks, everybody. We're going to end the broadcast there. Let us know if you need anything. It was nice to talk to you all today.
Bye, everybody.
Great day.